Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's recording of Three Cups and a Dash of Spirituality. We're going to talk about what happens when your intuition ghosts you. So enjoy and play that music. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Three Cups and a Dash of Spirituality. With me, I am joined by the fabulous Carissa.
Hello.
And the wonderful Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here with you guys. I can't remember what we're talking about. We said it like 5 minutes ago and it's already out of my brain. So,
Well, this is an interesting story of connection in and of itself because earlier today I was saying, what are we going to record about? And Carissa sent me an idea and I'm like, I had that same exact idea. So it just felt right that today we're going to be talking about our spirituality and when things go silent, when we get ghosted by our spirit guides or ghosted by that communication we get so used to having. And there's so many reasons that can happen. We have personal experiences we can share. So I'm going to throw it to Carissa. Do you want to take it away?
So my daughter is getting ready to graduate. We've got all this stuff, all these events. Everything's been really slow. We did go stay in a hotel a few weeks ago and there was some activity, but I was so tired and my daughter's in the room. I didn't want to do anything, but it's been really quiet. Now, when I supervised post-grad therapist and one of my supervision sessions, I said, "Oh, y'all better write that down because that did not come from me." And y'all know what it's like when you get those messages and those images. But other than that, silent. So silent. And I'm so busy too. But you do miss that flow that you get into or the bumps in the night. Sometimes, not all the time. But the bumps in the night where they wake you up and then you're saying hello or doing some crossing over work. But other than that, yeah, feeling a little ghosted a little bit.
I just empathize with this so much because, I think I shared with you guys yesterday that it felt like all of a sudden I was reopening up and I hadn't realized how much of a stifle or stipend that I had on my intuitive abilities. They were still there, but they weren't as accessible as perhaps they normally are. And so all of a sudden, everything kind of started flowing back to me. And it was like this, just waterfall of like, oh, now you're doing clearings. Oh, now people are reaching out to you. Oh. And, I know I had to step back and look at my life and what I was doing and where I was and realizing that I was so not just in the human, but so busy and unhappy in a significant part of my life that the unhappiness kind of bled into that tamper, that tamping it down.
And stress too. Stress. Yeah. Stress feels like sometimes I can be really stressed and get intuitive hits and things happen. But then I'm really stressed and nothing. And that's when I wish some things would happen.
Get that information flowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, major life events such as a marriage or divorce, a change in career, travel, issues at home, a change in environment, like so many of those things throw stress onto us that if we're not in tune, we're not aware of.
Right.
I shared already, I spent the last 6 months in the middle of a move. And I didn't realize how much that affected me spiritually. Well, I did kind of, but now it's completely silent. And so it's like, what is going on here and what got me here? But I really found that when you get into a place of being
spaciousness,
being so busy in your everyday life, the first thing that's going to fall away from you are the things that you do to care for yourself and the things that ground you and those things that make you feel complete. Like I'm in a new space. Where am I going to meditate? That has really thrown me off. And I'm just struggling. I feel like I'm constantly grasping at straws like, okay, you guys, help me out here. And they're giving me breadcrumbs. So I know they're still there, but the flow is like,
Yeah, like a little water faucet drip.
yeah, a drip is a good way to put it. And it's just crazy because you get so used to having something in your life that when it changes, that panic sets in. And then I think it just starts doubling down like, oh, I've lost it. It's not there. What does this mean? Do they not
What did
like
I
me?
do
Did I
wrong?
take them off? Yeah, there's so much going there. But I will say my guides, even though things are slow and it's hard for me to step into meditation, I can't even tell you the last time I've fully been present in meditation without like getting distracted or coming immediately out because I just couldn't focus. I can't.
I'm feeling that because I know I wrote my blog this week talking about leaving, the employment that I had and realizing that sharing a space because I do spiritual readings at my computer, but it very much so was set up for this energy. But sharing the space with my full-time job, which is very different, I found I could not step out. And I know I can create the energy, but it was so stressful and there was just so much to it that I wasn't able to walk away from that stress.
Yeah. And I'm looking this up and it's showing that the more we calm our mind, that's and get in the theta waves, like deep meditation, hypnosis, REM sleep, that gets us into that subconscious material. And when we're really stressed, we can't get into that. And then when we're really stressed and we can't access those points, then our dopamine drops because we're used to getting that spiritual high. We get a spiritual high when we have insight. There's neuroscience behind it.
Yeah,
And
let's talk about that spiritual high too when you're done here,
right,
because it is a thing. It's a thing.
neuroscience shows that there is the high, and there is a book called The Woo Woo of Science. I'd have to find it, but I had purchased it a year ago. But it's not woo, it's dopamine, theta waves, and your default mode network lighting up when all of that happens.
It's so true. And I know that recently, again, life has been crazy. I was on a vacation that took me completely out of my comfort zone, not even out of my own, just out of my own house, but out of my state, out of this country. I went to Asia and that threw me into a totally different state of mind. I started experiencing anxiety, not feeling comfortable anywhere I went. Could I be open about my spirituality over there? Well, of course. I mean, they're very spiritual in the community, but it really did shut it down. I didn't have that time to really tap in. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, they're just gone. Well, then they're not, because I had gone to a temple in Japan. It was a castle, actually. And we were walking through it. It was an interesting tour. We had to take off our shoes inside and it was freezing, or when we were walking inside the castle and it was freezing.
It's very cultural.
Yeah, it's very cultural. But as we were coming out, I'm just walking and I'm like, there's a spirit here. And it came through just like that. I can't tell you if I felt it or if I heard it. I think I heard it. There's a spirit here, just like that. And I instantly step into, oh yeah, Michelle, I'm sure there's a spirit here. And questioning myself, like, oh, every time you're like, there's a spirit here, there's a spirit here. I was totally questioning myself. And then the voice came through and it said, maybe this is just how it works for you. And I said, okay, maybe it is. And I'll tell you, not 2 minutes later, we walked into an area of the castle and the lady said, this area is haunted. And this is a story behind it. And my whole time there, I was there for 4 weeks. It's the only time a guide or anyone brought up a ghost. And it was right after that happened.
I love that you got that confirmation so quickly. It's almost like it was kind of just a reminder that you do have that access still and you can step into it.
At unexpected times, too. Don't try to force it. Don't get mad about it. Don't throw a fit because it's not happening, because it's still there and it'll happen when the time is right. And it'll come as a message.
That's so cool. And that castle sounds really neat. I didn't know there was castles in Japan.
Yeah, there are a couple. There was one in Osaka, and then I don't know how we ended up in this castle. I do know how we ended up because we're very picky tour people and we're very demanding. And we totally told the lady, we don't want to do anything you have planned for us. She's like, I have a castle. So that's what we did.
Ooh, that is
I do
so
love that, though.
cool.
It is cool. It was very, very cool. Have you had an experience like that too, where you're just not expecting it? And I mean, really, we don't ever expect it. And when it happens, it is that spiritual high. It's that, okay, I can't believe that just happened. And it energizes you.
Sometimes it comes in just dumps and waves. And I know Stacy's ADHD like me, but she's, I think, better at this. I don't stop. Like I'll do my quick 5-minute meditation in the morning and I'll see if my guides want to give me anything. But lately I've just been like, 5 minutes, bye-bye. And I get very distracted. And that is kind of a high for me. Stacy, does that relate where the distraction is kind of a high?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so distractible anyways that it's a challenge. But I will say, kind of stepping back into the spiritual practice for me, like this past weekend was like just being dumped off a waterfall. Like I ended up doing a clearing and it was really intense. And I sat with my guide and I got a ton of information. And when I went back to, my client, she was like, that everything makes sense. Everything that you're saying is exactly what I'm experiencing. So, that validation is wonderful. But I remember after the session, I kind of sat back and was like, but where has this been? Like, why haven't I had like this intense, this accurate experience until this point? And it was kind of like this like realization that I had stopped practicing basically. And in not doing the active meditations and not connecting with my guides, as regularly as I was, I kind of just let it sit. But interestingly, I found that I have another guide right now, and she's here to kind of help regulate the spiritual practices. Her name is Dot. She showed up and she's like, you got this. Like, you're good. I just got full body chills too. You're good.
Wow.
Like, you're stepping back into the practice and it's okay. And she's really pushing me to give myself grace and, reminding me that things are okay and things are going to be okay. And it's just been interesting, I think is the right word, kind of sitting back and just seeing how the flow goes.
Yeah. And I love how she's giving yourself grace, because I will like beat myself a little bit. Like, well, why am I not taking the time? Because I understand neuroplasticity. I understand the more we tune in, the stronger the connection. And I get so busy. I don't. I know my daughter's going to be leaving to college in the fall, so that is going to give me more time. But can we be gentle with ourselves when we're not really tuned in?
Right.
That's where I kind of struggle sometimes.
Right. And not punish ourselves for the lack, what we consider should be a daily practice, or forcing, ourselves into,
Right.
that trying to put yourself in a mold that's not necessarily you at the moment.
Not you at the moment. Yeah.
And we talked a lot about our soul is here to have this human experience. And part of that human experience is learning how to navigate the different things that are happening in our lives and what that feels like to us. So in a way, silence is a form of communication. We've got to learn to self-regulate. We've got to learn to sit with ourselves, accept ourselves, and integrate it all into everything else. It just feels so sad that when things go crazy, that's the first thing that goes. But it's up to us to learn how to regulate it.
Right. And it's okay. And it's
okay. It's okay. They're still there. They're going to send you those crumbs. They'll let you know they're still there. And if the timing's not right, I mean, I talk a lot about the timing of the universe, and when it's meant to be, it will be.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And being an only child, I never felt alone. And I still will be by myself and I never feel alone. But the brain looks for those dopamine hits, those like concrete, yep, that is definitely something that, but
it's very true. And that's where you kind of start stepping back into that practice of grace, going, it's okay if I'm not getting those dopamine hits of confirmation, unless, you are talking to somebody about something, but it's just kind of like accepting sometimes things are quiet.
Sometimes things are quiet.
But
There's a
sometimes we
reason,
also
a season, or a lifetime, right? Like we
yeah.
are constantly ebbing and flowing throughout it all.
And sometimes we really are supposed to experience the human stuff and step away for a period of time, and that's okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
quite honestly, if we look at life and the way our human life flows, like we're very good friends. The three of us have a very good connection. But when life gets crazy around us, and not that it tests that, but it gets quiet there. So you start to worry, like, did I do something wrong? Or why doesn't the flow feel like it has felt
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the past? It's just a season and it's still there. We've not upset anybody. We just are busy doing the things we have to do
To
to
survive.
manage life, to survive.
I mean, I think we had a conversation about that too, where I was like, I've just been so out. I've been so out
Mhm.
there, so focused on, the what's happening and just very specific things in my human that it's like I feel like I literally took the spirituality and put it on a shelf
Yeah.
so that I could just be so focused. And when I finally, took my head out of the sand, so to speak, I think I sent you guys a note going, I know I've been kind of absent and I'm so
Mhm.
sorry. I needed to allow myself that space. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like anger or anything like that. It was like I just wasn't talking to anybody because I was trying to figure out the things that were going on. And that's okay.
And silence can be good.
And I was just thinking how, I love doing this podcast. So it's a check in. And for listeners, what kind of check in can you have for yourself that's going to be realistic? Like if you're going to do a meditation, I don't care if it's once a week or you put it on your calendar 3 months from now. Things can be crazy. You're traveling for work, whatever. You have family events. 3 months from now, put on check in on your calendar. And I was thinking about our last guest at Galveston, the ghostess of Galveston. I was like, how cool is that? She gets to live and immerse herself in that spirituality every day. Or I think she says maybe 3 days a week now. And I was thinking, well, maybe, I don't know if I'm fully ready there. I don't know if okay. I know I will be, but I got to get
I-
through this PhD program and stuff. I really feel like I've got to get through that first. That makes
One
sense.
step at a time.
Yeah.
One step at a time. And I love the idea of putting it on the calendar as a reminder. It's just an appointment with yourself to do
Mhm.
something for yourself. Now, I know when things start to slow down spiritually for me, I start to feel the pressure of, I got to connect, I got to connect, I got to overdo it, I've got to overcompensate. But that's not the case.
Mm.
I would recommend that if you're feeling a little bit disconnected, take those baby steps. If you don't have time to meditate during the day, maybe say 3 affirmations to yourself or 3 things you're grateful for during the day. Do you ladies have advice for our listeners as to what they can do to gently step back into spirituality if they're feeling that absence?
I
Well,
mean,
when you're busy, can I say give yourself grace? Because for me, I will have stuff on my calendar. I will. One time I had do 20 squats and 20 sit-ups, and I was driving with a friend and it popped up, on my car screen, it popped up alert. And she laughed. She goes, "You're supposed to do 20 squats and 20 sit-ups." I said, "Yeah, that's been on there for over 6 months and I never do it every day." The alert goes on.
sometimes though, the humor behind that is exactly what we need. The thought's there.
The thought is there. So for me, my advice, give yourself grace if you're like me and you've got a lot on your plate and you're just not going to do it. But I know my daughter's going to be leaving soon and I know I'm going to get back into that flow.
How about you, Stacy? Is there some advice you could give listeners as to how to gently step back and when you're feeling disconnected from that?
So for me, it's starting small and not expecting to be able to just jump right back in, full throttle. I will lay in bed at night, getting ready to go to sleep, and just kind of talk to my guide. And it won't even be a meditation. It won't even be anything serious. It's like, hey, Simon, I know you're there. I love that you're there and you're always there for me. And for whatever reason, that offers me this almost like a hug, a spirit, like a psychic hug. Like, yeah, I'm here. I am here because I do believe that we are supposed to sometimes step away and focus on the human experience too. But just being gentle and just keeping those conversations open, I think is a really valuable thing.
And I've stepped into that recently at night too, really trying just to at least connect to my guides and show gratitude But I'll be like in the middle of talking to him. I'm like, oh, a bird. I mean, there's no birds at night, but that's where my mind is going.
Yes.
I'm so distractible in the evening, and I'm learning to give myself grace for that too, because there's a lot going on. But
You know how many times I've fallen asleep mid like conversation with my guide? Like I'm just out.
well, it probably continues on while you're sleeping. You just don't remember that part of it.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel about like journaling or something like that if you find yourself needing to reconnect?
I love writing. I love letters, whatever you need.
And I've been bad about it. And it really, the last 3 months, I've been bad. And that's something else too. I used to do automatic writing every morning. I mean, I'm sure it's been on a podcast where I say, this is a non-negotiable. I get up and do it. I have not. So I hope to get back at doing that too.
And, you know, sometimes allowing the fluctuation of doing it too is a beautiful thing. Because I know I write at my computer, I type really quickly. And so, like, if I'm doing automatic writing, it's easier for me to type it. So, like, Sunday, that's what I was doing. I was typing everything that was coming through very quickly. I also love just gratitude journals, too. If you want to practice anything, I think practicing gratitude is a really good first step. But it doesn't have to be, like, 20 minutes a day. It's 1 or 2 things you're grateful for.
Yeah. Just at the end of the night, I am grateful for my dogs today, or I'm grateful for running into so-and-so on the street. Just little things. You don't have to write a lot about it, but just remembering to step into gratitude, because what gratitude does, that does lift your vibration, and it does bring that whole feeling of connectedness back to you.
And there's literal research about the more you increase, they don't really say vibration, but the more you're in a state of joy versus people who are anxious and depressed, you are more likely to pay attention to your intuition and follow it. And thank you for that reminder. I used to do 3 gratitudes every morning, and I've also stopped, and I've got to get back to that.
And, you know, I think it can be easier than I'm even saying. You don't even need to get a notebook. You can do it right in your notes on your phone. It doesn't have to be anything huge.
Or just like manifestation, you can just say them to the universe. I'm grateful for this. You don't even have to take the time to write it down. And another thing you can do just real quick is, if you have someone you can talk to about these things, do it. Have a conversation with them about how you're feeling. And I guarantee you, they're going to be like, I've been there before. I understand that feeling. I can relate. Let's talk about it. Or here's some of the things I did.
You mean like we are right now?
Like we are right now. Yeah. Just like this, like conversation.
Yeah. And so there's one for the listeners, 3 gratitudes every morning. I am putting it on my calendar right now to get back to it. Thank you guys for the reminder. I really appreciate it. It means
and
a
it's
lot.
not just a reminder. I think all 3 of us should do it and be accountable to each other. Just like in the morning, send a check mark and we'll know what that's for. I did it.
Yeah.
And I think that's enough.
It's back on my calendar starting tomorrow. I needed that.
Yeah. Very good. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share about when your spirit guides ghost you or your spirituality ghost you? I love that. I just have said it 10 times during this episode, but I just love the idea of that title.
I think the only thing I'll throw out there is don't stress about it. Like, try not to stress.
Don't make it into a mountain. You're still on a little hill and you're going to get to the other side.
Yeah.
Don't make it into a mountain.
Yeah. Dear Stacy.
Stay classy.
Stay sassy.
And stay scary? Is that what Melissa said?
Spooky.
Stay scary?
Stay spooky.
Oh, stay spooky. But stay
I love
badassy
it.
too. Till next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of 3 Cups and a Dash of Spirituality. If you like what you heard, please know that we have a full library of episodes now available on your favorite podcasting platform. You can listen to it now, or you can download it to listen to later. Also, if you'd like to give us a review, we'd appreciate it. We love connecting with listeners, and thank you in advance.